I say we like the experience, and we want the viewers to see the story behind it, because it is more than just that kill shot. So that's what we try to incorporate in all of our films.
Welcome to the IHUNT podcast, and I am your host, Jason Hamlet. We are exactly halfway through the turkey hunting season here in Ohio, and it has been a rough one for me. Had no success again this weekend. The birds were quiet. I think pressure's really getting to them. Well, I'm pretty confident it's pressure. I ran into a ton of hunters this weekend. Me and my buddy Joey did make it out to the public land on Sunday morning, and we were the first ones to the parking lot again. But of course, as we're getting ready, a car pulls up and the gentleman gets out, and we start talking with him. So there's one hunter, and we walk into the woods. We walk onto the property with him, so we can kind of figure out where he's at. And he sets up in the first field, which is great for us because we knew we were walking deep in, and we knew we wouldn't have any trouble out of that guy. So we are slowly making our way in through the dusk, working the edge of the woods line, trying to stay out of sight and be quiet and not kind of tip off any birds that we're coming or on the way, and doing everything we can to not spook anything. And we happen to look up to the left and see another hunter beeline right down the field, passing us and making his way in the direction where we were heading. We weren't quite sure, if he was heading to the same spot we were. We just know he was heading that direction. So we kind of slowly creep around and kind of come to this tree line and kind of start peeking the field we wanted to hunt. And sure enough, he has his decoy set up and is sitting in the exact same spot that I was planning on sitting this weekend. If you guys can remember, it was the exact same spot where I missed my birds last week, and it's the spot that I talk about with my guests on today's show. So, spoiler alert, nothing happened. We had to end up moving to another spot there because we couldn't hunt our original area. We go to another isolated field and set up, and we don't hear anything all morning. For about an hour and a half, we sit there, not a gobble, no gunshots, don't see any movement. Pretty quiet. And then as we're sitting there, we see another hunter walk right through the field where we are hunting. So if there was anything sneaking in or walking in quietly, he pretty much busted anything out of sight and out of town where we were at. So we ended up taking that opportunity to kind of stand up and kind of discuss our game plan and decide that we're going to move around and move along this creek's edge and try to find for a place that opens up in the creek bottom, not in the creek bottom, but in the woods that line the creek, to try to set up inside the woods a little bit, but still along the field. We're thinking the birds are using the woods to travel because we didn't see anything in the fields all morning. So we set up there and take time to get our decoys setting up, and we sit for probably about 20 minutes before we finally decide to start calling. And my buddy Joe, he starts calling a little bit, and sure enough, 5 minutes after he calls, I see another hunter walking along the wood line where we're sitting, and it seemed like he was heading in the direction towards us, like he was following my buddy's call. And we're watching him through the woods, and I can see him start to creep in to the woods, like into our direction. And I'm like, and my buddy's like, I think he's following our call. I'm like, yeah, I think he probably is too. I was like, should we say something? Should we yell? And he's like, well, let's wait and see what he does. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just looking. I'm sure he's going to see the decoy. So he comes in and he sees our decoy, and we're both sitting there watching him. And the guy kind of stops and crouches down when he spots the decoy. And my buddy's like, he's going to shoot the decoy. And it wasn't my decoy, it was my buddy's decoy. He's like, let's see if he shoots it. I'm like, no, we gotta yell at him. I don't want to get shot. Now, granted, he was facing perpendicular to us, so he would have been shooting across us, not at us. But still, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth taking a chance of something happening. So I went ahead and yelled at the guys. I see he was raising the gun up to his face like he's going to shoot the decoy. He stops and looked startled and put his gun down, and he came over and started talking to us. And this is about 9:30 in the morning. I figured he may have he came over and apologized and left, but no, he comes over and wants to have a conversation in the woods with us, telling us about a bird he killed last weekend and blah 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 and all this other shit. And it's like, dude, it's 9:30, it's prime time. And he pretty much sat there, and we kind of was trying to drop hints for him to leave without being disrespectful and just flat out saying it. So he sits and talks for about half hour, and he proceeds to tell us, like I said, that he shot a turkey last weekend, and it was his first time ever hunting turkey. Knows nothing about him, and ended up shooting a jake. He was just walking through the fields and walking along the woods edge, and happened to hear something and looked in the woods and saw a jake sitting down 10 yards from him in the woods. So that's how he shot his first turkey, and now for some reason he has got it. I actually feel bad for him because he's got it in his head that that's how he has to hunt turkey, and that's what he was doing this when we saw him. So I feel bad because he'll probably never shoot another turkey like that in his life, and I'm sure he's going to run into some guys on that land who are not as nice and as understanding as me and my buddy were yesterday. So after about half hour, like I said, of talking, he decides to go on, and he's like, are you guys leaving now? Are you guys packing up? It's like, I know it's getting late. And like, dude, it's 10 o'clock. It's not getting late. But by that point, yeah, we were leaving because we had just had another spot blown, and it was the third spot we had blown by another hunter. So we went ahead and gave up and headed back to the truck and picked up some breakfast and went on home. So it was a pretty disappointing hunt, but I'm glad today the evening hunting has opened up here in Ohio, so I should be able to get out a few evenings before the end of the season along with the next couple weekends. So hopefully have another 5 or 6 hunts in me before the season ends, and maybe I can bag one, and hopefully I can get away from some hunters. Maybe the end of the season is going to ease the pressure a little bit. Maybe everybody will give up, and then the weather will get nice, and they'll just go to cookouts or something. I don't know. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hanging in there. Like I said earlier, it only takes 1 second to totally change the way you view your season. And that brings me to our guest today. I have on the phone today Chance and Brody Vorderstrasse from Whitetail Instinct. They are twin brothers who are just in the process of graduating from the University of Nebraska. We have a great conversation. They tell me a lot about things that they have coming up and some videos they've made in the past. And I shouldn't say videos, films they make. These films that these guys make are high quality, very creative, and they take a totally different approach to trying to tell the story behind a hunt. And I encourage you guys to check out their film Unfilled and all the other films they have on their website. They make some great they take some great footage, they put some great pieces together, and I'm a fan of them, and I know if you guys watch their stuff, you'll be a quick fan of them too. So you can check them out on Twitter at whitetail_NE, and you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Whitetail Instinct. And if you are listening to this via my link that you see on Twitter, then please take the time to share that link, retweet it. To me right now, a share is much more valuable than a listen, although I do appreciate you listening to this episode. And if you happen to have found us using iTunes or Stitcher or even Google Play now we are on, then please take the time to rate and review the show. It helps me, gets me out to a bigger audience, and I would really appreciate you taking the time to do that. So I'm done talking. I'm done rambling. I'm going to go ahead and get into the interview. So without further ado, I present to you Chance and Brody Vorderstrasse.
All right, well, on the phone today, I have Chance and Brody Vorderstrasse from Whitetail Instinct. You guys can check out their film Unfilled on YouTube. Chance and Brody, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How is your guys' weekend going? You guys getting any turkey?
Oh, we've been out a little bit. We have been doing quite a bit on the public land in Nebraska here, and we're taking a little break. We're going to be switching back over to some private land here early this week. But we've been out. I got one earlier in the year with my bow, and then it's just been tough hunting after that, after shotgun season opened on the public land. A lot more hunters. The birds just weren't on the public land as much as they were before, a little call shy. So we had some trouble trying to figure them out. We got on quite a few of them, but it was just trying to get them to close the last distance that we've been having trouble with. But
yeah, that's the story of turkey hunting, man. Get them to close that last bit of distance, especially if you're bow hunting. And you guys are out in Nebraska, right?
Yeah, we are. Central Nebraska, and we go to college at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, so we do some public land hunting up in eastern Nebraska as well.
So when you guys are in school, essentially it's all public land hunting, and then when you're back home, you get to hunt on some private land you've probably hunted on your whole life, or? Yeah,
we do a lot of public land hunting back here as well. We don't have private land in the family. Our uncle owns just a little chunk that we do some rifle deer hunting on. But other than that, we are all public land, so we hunt both public land back here and up when we go to school. So some of our turkey hunting, we do a little work for a guy, and he lets us hunt turkeys on his property in exchange for that. So the turkey hunting is some private land back here, but other than that, mostly public land.
That's awesome. Now, what about deer hunting? Is that essentially the same thing, all public land?
Yeah, mostly, for the most part. During rifle season, we kind of take a break from the public land and hunt some private, but for the most part, we're going out on the public land.
Now, what's the biggest challenge when it comes to hunting public land that you guys have found? Is it you guys struggle with the other hunters, or is it more the knowing the area? Like, what's the biggest challenge to you guys?
I would say the biggest challenge for hunting public land, if you're looking to hunt for deer hunting anyways, is the people are always kind of an issue, but I think the biggest thing for me is trying to make sure that you find an area where there actually are quality deer that you want to go after. I think the public land around here it's smaller pieces that are kind of broken up and with lots of private land around it, so it's hard to get those mature bucks to want to stay on the public land. So I think that's the biggest thing, is doing your research and finding an area and putting up the trail cameras and doing the summer scouting over the soybean fields to make sure that there are quality deer in the area.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, when we're talking acreage-wise, like, what is your primary hunting land out in Nebraska, in the eastern Nebraska? How big is it?
We're looking at about 100 to 200 acres is probably the common size of public land that you see. If you go out west, you'll get to some bigger properties, but mostly probably 100 to 200 acres, I would say. We hunted a property. We thought it was kind of an overlooked area. It turned out there was quite a few hunters on it, but it was maybe only 40 acres apiece for deer hunting last year up in the eastern part of the state. And the piece of property, public land that we hunt down here in south central Nebraska is probably 200 or 300 acres, but it just ranges in between. There's not a lot of big chunks of ground like you'll see in Iowa or Kansas where you can get those 1,000-acre chunks, where really it's mostly private land here in Nebraska, so it's just small chunks of public with private all around it usually.
Yeah, that's a lot like Ohio. You know, Ohio doesn't have any vast lands of public ground to hunt on, so I mean it's forced. You really have to find some private land, and even the private parcels you find is not going to be any huge chunks of land. You know that's gonna. It's a matter of hitting that deer in the right spot at the right time, because you're not going to be able to hunt an area that's the only home range that deer has. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had thousands of acres to hunt, like on these farms that you see out west, or these public lands that you see out west.
Yeah. It's a lot of looking at that piece of public land and also like what's around it to make sure there's habitat around it, not just that piece of public land that you're looking at. Yeah, that's one of the main things we look for when we're, especially on the smaller pieces, is what type of habitat. Is there any connecting habitat to this piece of public land that maybe the deer are bedding on private land, but then come the rut or when they go out to those feed fields at night or in the morning, that they are going to cross over onto the public land. So we really look at what is connecting to those pieces of public land as far as habitat types.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you guys are doing your GPS scouting and stuff, you're looking vastly more area than the land you're allowed to hunt on, and that makes a lot of sense. I need to take that into account because I don't think I do that. I just look at the parcel of public land that I have to hunt and try to figure out the areas there when I don't even consider a farm that would be next there. That's some good advice.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and we've got caught up in that, and I think this year we finally realized we were looking at a piece of public land and there was a big soybean field right next to it, and there was another smaller soybean field, and we thought, well, they're going to go to that bigger soybean field, but really they're going to the smaller soybean field on the other side. So I think we get caught up a lot of times in looking just at that piece that the piece that we're hunting, and when you really need to look at what's all around it, because the deer don't know property boundaries, so they're not just going to stay on the public or just off the public, so they don't know those property boundaries, so you just have to take everything into account that is around that piece of public land or private land, whatever you're hunting.
Yeah, you mean deer don't have their GPS and know what's the public land and what's the private?
Yeah, they don't have the plat books to look at to know I'm not going to cross over on that public land because there's a whole bunch of people over there.
So, is the soybean field that you're talking about, is that the one on the your documentary film, The Unfilled? Yes,
that large piece of ag ground there. Yep.
You guys had a lot of deer moving through there. I mean, I know you guys. Spoiler alert! I know you guys didn't get a deer in that film, but I mean, you guys definitely got a lot of good footage.
Yeah, it was really great to see. We kind of had bounced around from a couple pieces of public land just trying to find out where the deer were, and we were super excited those first couple of days we were there to see that many deer work across the field. We've seen a couple bucks early and then just a lot of doe, so it was great to see that movement, and then from there we could kind of build a plan for the rest of that year and then going into this next year too. Yeah, we really think it's a great piece of public land. We didn't get much time to scout it last year. We were busy all summer doing internships and stuff like that, so we got down there kind of late, so we kind of just pure instinct on where to set those tree stands, and we think we've got it narrowed down now. But it was great to see the quality of deer that were down there. It's just a matter of figuring them out more now here as we go.
Well, the scouting that you did do, and I mean, it obviously paid off. You guys definitely were on the deer. It's just a matter of you just didn't get anything in bow range, it seemed like.
Yeah, we narrowed it down a little bit. We were just in the general area, and then we used that knowledge now to move in closer. So we just didn't pinpoint it quite enough. We just did the basic, setup over the ag fields, the soybean fields in the early part, and then moved down to those travel corridors, during the rut when the bucks are really moving. So that's kind of what we did. And then from there, just doing that, it's helped us pinpoint a little bit further where we need to go for this year.
Yeah, you guys actually, through the video, you seem like you showed a lot of patience in kind of waiting those deer out and trying to get them to move towards you. Obviously, at the end of the season, I think it was the last few days, you guys made an aggressive move at those deer. What prevented you from making that move earlier in the season?
Some of it was just a lack of knowledge, just trying to, again, figure out where they were at. There was a bunch of other hunters sitting on the edge of this soybean field as well, so that kind of kept us from moving in there because we didn't want to spook them because they were doing a lot of spooking, walking in and out and stuff all the time. And then when it came down to the end there, we just had to make a move and try to make something happen. So mostly it was just a lack of knowledge to begin with. And then we had a lot of other hunters and pressure on that piece of public land that kept us from moving in earlier. And we tend to be more passive hunters than aggressive hunters, and sometimes that probably puts us in a bad position. Maybe we should be more aggressive sometimes. But I think the way we think of it when we're hunting public land is that we think most of the other hunters are probably not using the wind correctly. And from seeing these guys, we were thinking that maybe they're hunting the winds correctly because they were sitting over that soybean field with a variety of different winds where their wind was blowing out into the field or blowing back into the timber. So we think those deer are going to know they're there and kind of be on edge anyways. So we don't want to add any more pressure than we have to. And then it got to the point at the end of the season where we thought, if we're going to make something happen, we're going to have to put a little bit of pressure, be a little bit more risky than what we want to be. So I think we're just kind of more passive hunters in general. But we like to sit back, look, figure it out, and then kind of move in slow.
Now, it amazes me that a lot of the hunters who do not take the wind into account, they figure they're tree stand hunting, and it seems like the last thing they think about it is the wind. Because I mean, I've ran into that to where there's a piece of private land that I hunt now, but I share it with about 4 other guys, and you got guys that are going to go out there and they're going to hunt the same stands regardless of what the wind is, you know. And it's like there's certain stands who I'm not going to hunt them unless the wind's at my advantage. And when I talk to these guys about it, they're like, "Oh no, they're going to be moving down there." Like, I don't care if they're moving down there. If they're going to win me, I'm never going to get a shot off.
Yeah, it doesn't do you any good if you can get into your spot, but they're going to smell you anyways. You're going to do more harm than good if you're not thinking about the wind when you go in there. If you don't have, the main thing too is make sure you have multiple stands. So that way, if the wind is out of one direction, you can go to one stand, and then if it's not, you can go to the other one. And that way, you're not putting any more pressure on those deer than you have to.
Right. And you guys are you just mainly focused on harvesting a mature whitetail buck?
Yeah, for the most part. For us, it's not always about how big he is or the age. We were going probably for 2.5, 3.5-year-old. Didn't really matter for us. It was kind of spur of the moment, but we were probably, I would say, 3.5 was probably what we were shooting for. We're just looking for a good, representative buck of that area, and that happened to be, if that was a 2.5, that was fine with us, and if it was a 3.5, at this point in where we are in our hunting career, 2.5 or 3.5, 4x4, 5x5, I mean, that's good enough for us. And on public land, that's a trophy anyway, so if you can shoot a deer on public land, we think a buck on public land, that's always great. So that's kind of where we are right now. And, as we go and say 10 years from now, we've shot a whole bunch of deer off there, we're probably for that monster buck. But for right now, 2.5 maybe if he's good, and a 3.5 probably is where we're shooting for right now.
But I guess what I was getting at, do you guys not target does at all, or is it just strictly buck hunting, or I mean, you guys meet?
Yeah, this year we didn't get any does down there on the public land, and our freezer is a little empty. So this next coming year, we will be looking to harvest does, and we tend to like to wait to harvest does till later in the season, not late December, but into December before we think about turning on the does, or really early. Or if you can happen to get over a big soybean field like that, there's no bucks, it's late in the evening, and you can get a doe real quick, that's usually when we'll do it. But we didn't go last year because we didn't know the quality of deer that were down there buck-wise, so we kind of wanted to wait and see what happened. But this year, I think we're going to be going for some does down there.
Now, what is your reasoning for waiting to harvest your doe?
Just because we only get 2 tags here in Nebraska that allow you to harvest a buck, and it's buck or doe on our archery tags. So, and we have a rifle season in the middle of November. So if we take doe early in September, there goes your archery tag. And then because we like to hunt rifle season here in Nebraska as well, so then that leaves that buck tag for our rifle hunts. And then that rifle season is only 9 days or 11 days, 9 or 11 days, about a week here in Nebraska. So then if we don't get one on the land that we have for rifle season, then we're done with our permits for the later half of the season, and we like to be hunting as much as we can. So that's why we usually tend to wait on the doe in case we know it's getting tough, we're not seeing a lot of bucks, we can just go take a doe and get some meat for the freezer. Yeah,
that's strange. Do they have antlerless tags in Nebraska?
Yeah, you can get them for landowner, and there's some riverless or river unit antlerless tags, but you can't get those for public land. It's just private land.
Wow, that sucks. I mean, here in Ohio, we get I think it's four deer total for the state is what you're allowed to harvest, and you can obviously buy an antlerless tag or and either or tag, and so that's why I'm shooting does as early as I can, as quick as I can, because I want to get meat in the freezer, and once I get meat in the freezer and the wife's happy, then I can really focus on going after a buck.
Yep. Yeah, we're a little slim here on our buck tags that we can get. Yeah, we got to shoot most of the time, so that makes it tougher.
Yeah, it sucks. Your buck tag is either a deer, either a doe or a buck. So like you said, you use it on a doe, then you can't shoot a buck. That sucks.
Yep.
Fuck Nebraska. It's probably worse if you're out of state to hunt. So I'm going to try to go back here a little bit. How did you guys get into hunting? Were you guys raised hunting?
Yeah, we started out probably like most people. We went out with our dad and our uncle and just kind of tagged along before we were old enough to hunt, and just followed them around and learned everything that they could teach us. And then as we got older, you know, we took hunter safety and got started when we could get our own permits and just started going out and just kind of grew from there. We started out hunting just deer, and then it went to turkey, and then we hunted some waterfowl. So we're going most of the year now because we like hunting like most people and just keep doing it all year round. And I think the big change in where we really started, you know, going out hunting more and finding out that it was something that we really enjoyed was we started when we could turkey hunt, and then our parents finally let us go out by ourselves, and it was just me and Brody, and we're out there able to make our own decisions and choose how we were going to go do things. So I think once we started turkey hunting and being able to go out by ourselves, that's really where the passion really took off, and then we started deer hunting more and more, and then archery more and more. So it was kind of when we could turkey hunt by ourselves the first time, I think, is really when the switch got flipped for us as far as our passion growing for hunting in general.
You guys got a little bit of freedom and got to get out and bond a little bit, and it was a bonding exercise. I don't want to make it sound corny, a bonding exercise. No. It was more, but it was more you guys out there versus that turkey as opposed to being hand guided by your parents, right?
Yeah, we could go, and it was up to us, you know, whether we sat up here or we moved over there or how we called. So it was just more, like you said, more of that freedom and we got to try to match our own wits against them by ourselves, and I think that's what we really enjoy about it, and I think that's what helps spur that passion on.
Yeah, I think that's what drives most of us is that one-on-one battle you have with that animal you're targeting. Now, you see, you guys are fortunate enough. You guys were able to grow up with hunting, but you have somebody like me. I was 32 years old, and I've been hunting 3 years now. You know, it's something I picked up late in life, and I didn't have that luxury. My luxury of the outdoors, it was a lot of fishing. You know, I grew up fishing, and I'm sure you guys probably grew up fishing as well. So, I mean, that's kind of where I made the transition later. So when you say most people, it's most people, but it ain't everybody who had what you guys had, and you guys should feel fortunate that you were bred with that into your life, and it's something I look forward to teaching my boy about.
So yeah, I'm thankful that we found our passion for hunting so early that we're able to enjoy it for that many more years. So it's wonderful that our dad had that passion as well, and then was willing to take us with him, that we were able to find that passion so early in our lives.
Now, when I saw you guys were brothers, and now I find out you guys are twins, how did you decide when you were little on who was going to take the shot?
I think first time was like rock, paper, scissors, or flipping a coin or something like that. We enjoyed hunting enough that we just like to see the other person get it, although you're kind of selfish because you do want to get it, but I think it was rock, paper, scissors, or flipping a coin when we started. We're competitive, but not too bad, so now when we go out and film, it's just if I took the turkey the last time, now Brody's going to be the main guy hunting. So we just kind of, whoever got the last animal, they're going to be behind the camera until the other guy either gets his animal or screws up, and then you're going to go back behind the camera. But
okay, so it's like you get a shot, and if you miss your shot or if you harvest animal, it's the other person's turn.
Yep, you get one shot, and if you miss it, then that was your opportunity. Now you got to wait for the other guy to screw up.
So who's harvested the most deer?
Oh, man, I don't even know. I think we're pretty close to even, I think. I think I might be ahead by just a little bit. I think I got a couple extra does. Yep.
You guys are too humble. Me and my brothers, we'd have fishing we couldn't go fishing without having some sort of competition behind it. We couldn't. I mean, we were setting up our own Bassmasters Classics and everything when we were fishing. So I know you guys are being humble right now. I know there was more to it than that. You guys had to rub each other's nose in it at some point.
Probably more when the other person screws up or scoops the deer or something like that. Yeah, if it's more when you make the mistake, that's when you hear about it the most.
When did you? So I mean, obviously I know you guys didn't start out bow hunting. Was bow hunting something that your father did, and was that something that you were taught at a young age, or did you guys have to make a transition to that as you grew up?
Yeah, we actually made that transition about 3 years ago. Our dad just started out rifle hunting, and when we got more passionate about hunting, we wanted to go out more, and so we decided to grab the bow, give us a longer season, so we started doing that, like I said, about 3 years ago. Yeah, we just wanted to find, archery season here runs from now September 1st through December 31st, so there's a whole 4 months there longer that we could get out if we had the bows with us than we could with just the rifle. So it was a way to make sure that we were out hunting deer as long as we could. So that's the main reason we switched to archery.
How long is your rifle season?
Our rifle season is, how many days? It's about a week. So it runs from one Saturday all the way through to the next Saturday. So I think that's 9 days, maybe. I think it's 9 days.
Yeah, it's about like it is here, and I've only bow hunted for deer because like I said, just like you guys, I wanted the most opportunity I can to be in the woods, and I didn't grow up around guns either. So and it's hard. I think it's easier to pick up and not easier to pick up and learn bow hunting, but you get more practice time bow hunting as opposed to trying to pick up a gun at 30 and practice with that. You know, you got to go to a range and you got to buy your ammunition. As opposed to bow hunting, I can go out in my backyard and I can fling some arrows any night I want and use the same arrows over and over.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You can get out and shoot your bow almost anywhere and practice and get consistent with it. Whereas a rifle, you have to go to a gun range or live on enough acreage where you can, have your own shooting to a sort of a backstop or something like that. So it is easier to get out there and practice on that archery equipment.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how legal it is to shoot a bow in the city limits like I am. I know I've definitely got some looks when I'm firing my bow from the front yard to the backyard because it's the only way I can hit 40 yards. But nobody's called the cops on me yet, so.
Yeah, as long as you do it in the backyard, you should be okay, I would assume.
But I can't get 40 yards in my backyard. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm almost in the street shooting from the front yard. Now, how did you guys make the decision that you wanted to start filming your hunts?
I actually went out to public land for either the first or second time, and Chance just kind of looked at me and he goes, "Hey, you want to give it a try?" And we said, "Heck yeah, let's just give it a try." So both got a camera and just started filming. It's something kind of being involved in the outdoor industry and watching those guys do it on TV. It was something that we always kind of thought we wanted to be a part of, something we wanted to do. We've always been kind of creative. Our minds kind of worked like that, so it just kind of a natural fit. And we decided, hey, it's the end of high school here, starting college. If we're going to try it, now is the time to try it and get into it when we don't have a family or anything like that. So we decided, hey, we're going to try it, get into it, go for 4 or 5 years, see where we're at, and then move on from there. But it was always something in the back of our minds we wanted to do, and it was just the timing seemed right. We were enthusiastic about it. We've always been creative, like I said, so it was something that it's now or never type of a deal, and we wanted to do it now, so we decided to do it.
Is there an aspect of is there an aspect of it that gets you guys excited that it's more challenging than just going out and trying to harvest animal, but trying to get it on camera? Because I know it's definitely a lot harder when you have 2 guys out there, a cameraman, and you can't not only getting the shot with your arrow, but you have to make sure your camera's lined up and the other person has them in focus.
Yeah, I think there is the element of that we like, because there is an added challenge to it, and it's just the whole challenge of trying to create that story and tell that story with that camera. It's so much more than just if you go out there by yourself and hunt, that story's there, but trying to be able to tell it in a way that other people can understand it and enjoy it adds that other challenge to it.
And it also probably gives you guys more of that teamwork feel when you're filming, I would think, right?
Yeah, we're definitely more connected between, with the cameraman and the hunter. You can communicate, and we can communicate just by looking at each other or hand signals and stuff like that, stuff that you wouldn't get if you were hunting separate. Or if you got a cameraman from somewhere else, some of the shows, they hire people, but it's when me and him are out there, like he said, we can just look at each other and make a little signal, and we know what the other one's thinking or that sort of thing. So it makes it a little bit easier. And then I feel like just hunting together and being together as much as we are, it has created a tighter bond between the two of us, just being together all the time and in working together all the time.
And the fact that you guys are twins, you guys probably don't have to talk to each other, right? Don't you have that mental telepathic thing going on?
Yeah, yep. We try to keep that hidden. We don't let too many people know that we have that, though.
Well, I get about 300 downloads per episode, so about 300 people are going to know that now.
Oh, darn it.
Have you guys had any success getting harvest on camera yet?
We have harvested a couple turkeys on camera. We haven't hunted only a couple seasons, I think, with the camera for hunting deer, but we have yet to get a deer harvest on camera. And this last year was really the first year we hit it pretty hard on the public land trying to get something, and it was just like I talked about earlier, just a matter of getting things figured out. We feel pretty good about this year, but no deer harvest on camera yet.
And I do want to kind of go into your film Unfilled, because you guys had touched a little bit about your creativity, and I do want to say your guys' film is definitely a lot different than what you typically see coming out of the hunting community, and that's in a good way. You know, I mean, you guys really put it together very well, and you guys did a great job.
Yeah, we think the main story we were trying to tell in it was that maybe it's not all about the kill in the end of. And that's kind of what we enjoy about hunting, is the whole experience and the being out there part. So we think that's kind of been lost in the hunting community as of late. So that was kind of the main thing we wanted to tell, was that maybe it's not about shooting that deer. Maybe just because we didn't get one this year, that doesn't mean this year was a waste, because who knows, all the information we learned this year can go into harvesting that animal next year. So the main thing was just that it's an experience every time you go out there in the woods. We think that's been lost, and we think that needs to be focused on a little bit more.
Yeah, and I do want to condemn you guys for actually having the balls to put up the video where you didn't harvest. You know, a lot of guys may have just stashed that footage away and pieced it into a successful harvest later down the road, you know, and I think that'll go and tell a big part of the story when you guys do get your harvest on camera, and I think it'll mean that much more to your viewers, the fact that you showed that.
Yep, the whole part of us wanting to start our own business and be in the hunting industry was to kind of bring hunting back to what it used to be, and we wanted to be kind of different in that way and just show hunting the way it is for us normal people that don't have all the property and hunt in public land. Everybody experiences a hunt where you go out, or a season, and you don't kill anything, so we just want to show that stuff and show what hunting, you know, is really about. Yeah, that's real life. You don't every time you go out, you don't harvest something. Sometimes you're unsuccessful or you miss a shot, and that's part of hunting just as much as that kill shot is. So we think that's something important that needs to be shown and needs to be talked about.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's hunting. They call it hunting. It's called hunting for a reason. It's not called harvesting. You know, I mean, it does not matter how much work and effort and energy and time you put into it. Nothing is guaranteed, and I think you guys did a good job of showing that.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. And that was what we were trying to get across. So it's good to know that we were able to tell that story in a way that you enjoy.
And that's one of the things that I like about, I don't know if you guys watch Meat Eater with Steve Ranella. That's the thing that kind of I love about his show is he doesn't always show. He shows his skunkers of hunts. You know, he doesn't harvest every time he goes out, and it's nice to see people who are a lot better hunters than I am going out and getting skunked, and it's good for people like me just starting out to see guys like you who have grown up your whole life hunting and know that you guys are out there and putting in the work. You guys are working hard, and you still can come home empty-handed, and I think it can definitely give some inspiration and motivation to people who are just picking up the sport to know that, yeah, you may not got something this year, but stay at it after it.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because like you said, for those hunters who are just starting and want to get into it, if they're just watching all the shows online or on TV, they're going to go, well, I'm going to go out today and I'm going to harvest that big buck or kill that longbeard on the first try. And it sets unrealistic expectations for them, and then they get discouraged, and then they decide they don't want to hunt anymore, when really that's part of it. We all started out that way, and we all still don't end up with stuff all the time. So I think if they're just watching TV, they're seeing those unrealistic expectations when really they're not unrealistic. That's just, you can go out, you don't always kill something, that's just the way it is. So I think it's important for new hunters to see something like this, or to understand that not every time you go out are you going to be successful.
Oh, and it's not even about every time you go out. I mean, not even every season. You can go
exactly.
Multiple seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you can do everything just right, and it just doesn't work out. It's just the way it is. So.
And also sometimes you could be on bad luck and be on bad land. You could have piss poor hunters around you. You could be taught the wrong way. I mean, there could be a lot of things you could be doing wrong too. And I mean, obviously, everybody can grow as in hunting, and there's always something more you could do, regardless of, like, you can't be doing everything right. You know what I mean?
Yep. There's always something you can learn after every time you go out, and there's always something you can improve. So it's always a learning process when you go out there, and that's what helps make it so that you are successful in the future. Even if you're not successful now, there's something you can learn from it and build upon, and then that way you will be successful later on.
All right. Well, this is. I'm gonna ask you guys for a little bit of advice.
Okay.
I've just started. This is my third season of turkey hunting, and I have not harvested a bird yet this season, obviously. And I am hunting public land, just like you guys. And what advice? What's the number one advice you can give me to? I'm going out tomorrow.
So I guess the main thing, I'll just kind of take you through what we do and see if that kind of helps you at all. The main thing we've seen is that most public land turkey hunters show up at about when the sun's coming up, wait for them to gobble, and then move in on them after that, after daylight. So the main thing we do is we've gone out there and we've scouted and we know where the turkeys are roosted. We go super early in the morning while it's still dark, set up within 100 yards of them. That way you are the first one they see when they fly down. I guess that's the main thing that I think we do on public lands as far as turkeys. So, and scouting is really, if you know where they're going to feed and then where they're roosting, you can try to get in between them. If nothing else, if you can't get them off the roost, knowing their patterns, I think, is the big thing. Yeah, we kind of take the whitetail hunting approach, if you will, to our turkey hunting, finding the food source, especially now with where they like to be and where they're moving to that food source.
Yeah, I definitely did my my preseason scouting, and I had hunted this property last year, so I knew where the birds were at, and I went out several weekends in advance and found out where a lot of them were roosting at, and I even actually had some before the season started, I had 3 gobblers right in front of me at 20 yards in full strut with 2 hens right in the middle of the woods feeding and scratching, so I knew the area that I wanted to be at. Problem is once the season started, and once you got through youth season, which started first, it seemed like those birds, they weren't in the area where I thought they were going to be at 2 weeks prior. So this last week when I went out, I sat and I didn't go out and roost the night before, but I had roosted them last week, and I sat in the same spot I had did the week before, and there was no birds around me. They were all off in the distance. And long story short, I ended up getting up to move, and because there was 2 gobblers gobbling off in the distance, so I started making my way in that direction. Of course, wouldn't you know it, I get up and move, and there's a gobbler that starts walking towards the tree that I was just sitting at.
Yeah,
I missed his ass, and then so I make my way to these 2 gobblers. I know people who are listening have heard this last week, but I make my way to these 2 gobblers, and I had to cross a creek because I heard them out in this field, which shocked me that they were going to be out in a field on public land, because the fields on this land I never even considered hunting because it's public. I figured to myself, oh, it's public land. They're never going to be out wide open in the field with all this pressure. But that's, lo and behold, that's exactly where they're at. I cross this creek and get over to the other side, and I give a crow call to find out where they're at, and they are literally right on this opposite side of this ravine that I'm getting ready to walk up out into the field. So I get about halfway up this ravine, and I start calling. I do a crow call again, and they gobble, 2 of them gobble right away, and they're right where I'm getting ready to exit out of these woods. But, you know, it's thick brush. I can't see shit. I drop to my belly, crawl up, and I get to just where I can poke my head out of this brush and look to my left, and there they both are 5 feet away from me. So obviously I got way too close to these turkeys. And so I'm sitting there, and they were just going back and forth clucking, and I couldn't swing my gun. You know, I'm laying on the ground, gun facing forward, and I have these trees to my left. I can't move my gun that way, and I have a bunch of brush shit that I wouldn't even try to shoot through anyway, but these turkeys were literally 5 feet from me. And they would walk, and he'd get about 2-3 steps away from walking right out in front of my shotgun to where I would be able to just blast his head off, and they'd stop and turn around and go the opposite direction about 10 yards, and then come back, and they toyed with me for about 20 minutes doing this. Finally, they took off a little further. I crawled up to where I could see him, pointed down the hill, still laying down, and took a 15, 20-yard shot at these turkeys down a little slope, laying down, and fucking missed them. I've never taken a shot laying down in my life.
One thing I would say is that now they're going to go to those open areas and strut, and you know now where those 2 or 3 toms are. So I'd go back to that same spot again, because more than likely, after they come down off the roost, they're going to work their way back to that same spot if they're on the same pattern. So I'd go find a decent place to set up in that open area you're talking about, and that's where I'd be. Especially if they're roosting around there too, you can just set up right there. They might fly down right in that open field and work their way right to you. Yeah, it might be a waiting game of waiting an hour or so, not seeing anything, but if you have done scouting, you know they're coming there, you'll know eventually they're going to work their way to that field, and then you'll be set up and ready to go.
Yeah, that's the game plan for tomorrow. I'm going to get out and set up on that same field. Because when I've done my preseason scouting, there were gobbles every morning coming from that creek that's right there that I had to cross. So I know they were roosting there, but I was more focused on the birds that were roosting inside these woods. So they've been roosting there. So I'm confident that I'm going to be able to get out there and they're going to be roosting there, and hopefully, like you said, wait them out and maybe get them to fly down off their roost right down in the field. I don't know, but that's the plan, and hopefully I don't miss again. Hopefully I'll be set up better.
That would be what I would do, because more than likely, from what we've seen, even on public land, these birds still have their daily patterns that they do, and it seems like by finding those 2 or 3 gobblers over there on that field, you now know where they're going to be that time in the morning. So more than likely, you can go back there and they'll work their way back, especially if you do some calling once you get over there. I think they'd work that way towards you anyways.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it seems if you guys looked at this from GPS, you guys probably would have thought it was completely obvious that I should have been hunting there all along, because this field is actually it's kind of an isolated field into the public lands, and it's also the furthest walk you could take from the parking lot to this field. So obviously they get a lot less pressure right there, I would think. And if there's the creek there where they're roosting, you guys probably would have set up there day one. But I'm learning, so.
Yeah, like you said, it sounds like if you have to cross that creek to get there, and you're walking as far back as you can get into the public land, and there's a nice open area where they like to strut. They're looking for hens, so if they can get in an open area and strut, that's where they're going to be. So that sounds like a great place. And I'm betting they're not getting too much pressure back there. You might be the only one back there. So if you can get back in there, I'm almost positive they're still going to be using that area.
All right, now I got an ethical question for you guys. After hearing this, hearing that all the work I've put into, I have a buddy who, he lets me hunt some private land that he has through deer, and obviously I'm going to be going up there probably in the next couple of weeks to do some turkey hunting on his private land. He's already harvested a bird. He now is wanting to come with me tomorrow morning to hunt on this public land where I hunt. Should I take him?
Man, I guess for me, he's your friend, so you obviously know him better, but I'd probably say you still haven't got your bird yet, and you've been working this property a couple times, so you know the property, and you've put in the work on this property, so kind of like our thing where you get the chance unless you screw up, probably, for me. Yeah, that's what I say too. It depends on how good if he's your best friend, take him with you. He's not going to tell anybody. Just tell him, I've been working, I'd like to get the first shot. I kind of figured out where they are. And you can do the same thing. You can take him there. If you've heard birds somewhere else, you think you got the honey hole in this field spot, go try to find some birds somewhere else with something you can do too if you still want to take him along. Yeah, spend the day kind of running and gunning, and with an extra person to help you call and stuff like that would be an option too. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
I think it just depends on how good of a friend he is to you. If he's a good friend, he's not going to tell anybody where it's at, and he knows you've been working hard, he'll go, you shoot him anyway, so you should be good, depending on how good of a friend he is.
Yeah, he's my best bud. I've known him since about 7th grade, so he should be all right.
Yep, just say, I've been working on these birds, I just missed them, I'd love an opportunity at revenge. You mind if I shoot first? You should go, yeah, that's fine, I'll call from back here, and we'll be good to go.
All right, so take them, stipulation, I shoot first unless there's 2 birds, and we try the good old doubler on them.
Yeah, there you go. That'll work.
Okay. So hopefully everybody has watched Unfilled by now, or hopefully they will after they listen to this. What is next for Whitetail Instinct?
Right now we're in the process of getting a film out on my turkey hunt from earlier in the year. I think Brody's been working on that. So that should be out pretty soon. And then we've still got another month here of turkey hunting, so we hope both of us get a turkey in that time, so we should have another film out on that as well. And then we're doing our off-season scouting and all that for our public lands. We're going to be putting out some videos on that. And, of course, our blog is always up there. We're always adding new things to our blog about what we're doing. But the main thing right now is getting those turkey films out from earlier in the year and then what we're filming right now.
And is that is how Unfilled was shot? Is that how the majority of your films are going to be? Like they're not I don't imagine getting from you guys a 3.5 minute clip of a turkey strutting in and you guys blowing their head off. I don't imagine that's what you guys are going to show us, right?
Yeah, we take kind of more of a cinematic, kind of a movie feel to it. Being a little bit more creative is the way we like to do it. So not so much as episodes, but just kind of a longer film that showcases that hunt in a more cinematic way. I say we like the experience and we want the viewers to see the story behind it because it is more than just that kill shot. So that's what we try to incorporate in all of our films, and they will be very similar to Unfilled with that backstory behind it. And so really making the viewer feel what we were feeling in that moment and kind of being able to step into our shoes and know what was going on.
I love that you guys call it a film because that's exactly what it is. It's not a hunting video. For the listeners out there, these are not your run-of-the-mill hunting videos. You guys do a great job, and cinematic is a perfect word and a perfect description of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we don't like the traditional TV style shows. We said, we're more creative. We like that, like you said, cinematic. We like that backstory. So that's what we try to put into all of our films.
And I'm not just blowing smoke up your guys' ass because you decided to come on my show.
We'll take it any way we can get it.
So you guys graduated, huh? That's probably a big relief off your back, huh?
Yep. Got done a couple days ago.
Congratulations. Now what?
I'm going out to work with Midwest Whitetail, actually, here in a couple months.
Oh, that's exciting. What are you going to do with them?
Kind of an internship, just learning all about the filming and editing and how to run a business in the hunting industry and stuff like that. So, should learn a lot.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What about Brody?
Or I'm Chance.
Chance. See, I'm gonna do this all. I'm gonna do this all the whole show.
It happens all the time. We get it all the time. But I've actually got another semester. I'll graduate next December, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Like to be in the hunting industry doing something, but start looking for jobs here, I guess, as that gets closer. But
well, what puts Brody ahead of you? Why is he out first?
I went to community college for 2 years and then transferred in, and somehow my degree has a lot of spring and fall only classes. So then I could only take certain classes at certain times, and all the classes were at the same time, so everything was all messed up. But
I gotcha.
We'll get her done, and then I'll be out of there and moving on.
So who's the older twin?
I am.
No, that's why he's ahead.
2 minutes is all.
2 minutes, huh? Good Lord.
Yeah.
You guys were back to back then. I have a set of uncles who are twins, and they were born over midnight, to where they have different birth dates. One was 5 minutes before. One was 5 minutes before, and one was 5 minutes after midnight. So
that'd be kind of cool, though.
At least they don't have to share a birthday. So.
Yeah.
I had something else I wanted to ask you guys. Fuck, don't you hate that when you got something right on the tip of your tongue and then you just you just forget it? What do you guys want to talk about?
Well, what about, you do deer hunting? Do you hunt private land or public land?
Well, that's actually, it's kind of a mix between public and private. And now when I say that, meaning the land that I hunt on is kind of a mix. Now, I do hunt some private property that, my buddy who I just mentioned earlier, he owns. But I got into a nice program in this area that we have a bunch of metro parks in the vicinity in the Tri-County area where I live, and they offer a draw every year to get the opportunity to hunt on these. You can call them public lands, but obviously not everybody's allowed to hunt them. It's not land that anybody owns, but it's like a deer management program, right? And like you said, there's a drawing, so you don't really know where the area you're going to hunt. And I was fortunate enough to hunt some area close to me this past season. And but once you harvest a deer in their program, like I was fortunate enough to do this year, you get placed into the first draw. Like they have two different draws. They have a draw for people who have harvested deer or volunteered their services, and then they have for everybody else, which the everybody else draw is what I was in last year. So, I mean, it's a good opportunity to get some kind of private land. I mean, obviously you share the land with a few other hunters. I think the area that I was in last year, I had 1 month to hunt it, and there was four guys total, counting me in the property that I got to hunt on. And I think it was 80 acres, so not a whole lot of land, but there was a lot of deer. You had to harvest a doe first before you could harvest a buck. I was fortunate enough to harvest both of those in 30 days, and then I also harvested a doe in the private land that I hunt in Jackson County with my buddy.
Okay, so it's like is it more like an urban style hunt? Is it closer to the city limits?
It's close to city limits, but it's not. I guess yes. I mean, there's nowhere you're going to go into these woods and not hear cars driving by or somebody out mowing their grass or something like that. But I'm not hunting in somebody's backyard either. It's definitely in the woods. So I mean, it's a deer management program, and I think it's a good opportunity for people like me who you don't have access to a whole lot of private land, and in Ohio you don't have a whole lot of public land either to hunt. So I encourage people out there listening to look for opportunities like that in their area, because I just found out about it last year, and this is something they've been doing for 15, 20 years, and
they have an open fields and waters program here in Nebraska, which is private landowners who open their land to public hunting. So that's kind of a similar thing to what you have back there. And we've used those lands quite a bit to try to find deer and do stuff like that. So it's just another way to find more areas for you to hunt if you're looking for someplace to go.
And obviously with this hunt, it's all bow hunting. There's no gun hunting, obviously, because you're close to where people are going to be walking through. I mean, there are trails that people will walk, and they're allowed to walk while you're hunting. So I mean, that can create a bit of a challenge. And they require you to do an archery test to pass it to get the opportunity to get in the draw. And it's just you got to put 4 out of 5 arrows into a dinner plate from 20 yards. So it's not that hard, but my buddy failed it. My buddy failed it last year.
I'd just be so nervous.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was his nerves that got him, because he's normally a much better shot than I am. I mean, he's been doing a lot longer than I have. And the first time he blamed it on his peep sight, I guess he said moved, and he didn't realize it. But I think what hurt him, because you were allowed to get up and do some practice shots before you actually took the test, and his first shot he took flew over the beanbag and he lost it. So I think from there he was done. His nerves were gone. There was no coming back from that.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough, like I said, to harvest a buck. It was a 156-inch buck, 2.5 years old. So he was a freaking beast.
Yeah. Yeah, I would take that any day, especially like that in the circumstances, kind of an urban environment with people and pressure and stuff like that. That's an incredible trophy.
Now, and it's going to probably make you guys piss you guys off even more, but it was my first buck I've ever harvested.
It's hard to get much better of a first buck than that.
Yeah, that's what my other buddy, who he actually is the guy who kind of helped me get on this buck, is after I shot him, he was laying on the ground, and he said, "Dude, I don't know if you realize the club you just entered, but do not expect everyone to be like this."
Yeah, that's the thing. Now, every time you go out, every season, you're going to think another, 156-inch buck is going to walk around the corner.
Yeah, but like I said, he put me on it, and he was actually getting ready to go do his family pictures that morning when I called him and told him that I shot him, because he lived in a house right in that area, so he came and helped me drag him out. Needless to say, he did not make his family pictures that day.
Not very often you shoot that big of a deer, so.
Yeah, especially he knew that was my first big buck that I ever shot. I've harvested a few does before that, but that was my first buck, so it was nice to have him there to share that with me. Because like I said, he put in a lot of time, helping me check my cameras, and I know a lot of people are going to roll their eyes when I say this, but he helped me, keep my corn out there. Yeah, there was a corn pile. We're allowed to legally hunt corn in Ohio, and they actually encourage you to use corn on the Metro Park land that I hunt, because, they want you to kill a deer. That's the whole point of this program, is to reduce the deer population. What are your guys' opinion on using corn?
I'm not a real big fan of it, I guess. I just more or less like the challenge of, trying to just pattern them over a soybean field or food plot, or, from going from bedding to feed and stuff like that. And it's illegal here in Nebraska, so we can't do it. But yeah, I think that's some of it for people. We've never grown up with it, so we've never had the opportunity to do it or hunt over it. For somebody that's had the opportunity to do it, they've grown up with that, and that's what everybody does. So I think it's just kind of regional, obviously, but it's just kind of how you grow up. We've never hunted with it, so we probably never will, just because we didn't grow up that way. Yeah, that's probably a good way to think about it.
Yeah, the whole ethics part of hunting, it comes down to, where you're from and what you grew up around. Obviously, I didn't grow up with hunting, but the way I looked at it as, that's not my ideal way to hunt, but there's going to be 3 other guys on that 80 acres who are going to have a corn pile out to be hunting over.
Yeah. I say they're probably going to be using it. It's just going to put you behind the 8 ball if you don't use it, and if they're encouraging you to use it anyways, then you just as well use it.
Yeah, and I did not shoot the buck over the corn. Obviously, when I shot him peak rut, and my whole goal was to I was using the corn basically to get that doe first, because I knew I had to get a doe down as quick as possible. And I knew I can bring does there pretty predictable with corn. I mean, I would get 150 pictures every week of does on my trail camera over the corn pile, so I knew that was going to be the most effective way for me to get a doe down within the first few days of hunting, so then I can go after that buck. And after I got that doe down, there was no more corn, but I was able to, the does were still making their way through there and still scratching the ground, and I think that's what inevitably led to that buck chasing the doe right to where I was at.
Yeah, especially with, like you said, with that requirement to have a doe first. There's nothing wrong with it, because you need to get that doe first in order to get that buck, and as quick as you can in order to get that buck. And it's just a different strategy where we may set up on a cornfield that has the corn in it. You're just setting up on the pile of corn. So it's just a different strategy and a different game plan you had as opposed to somebody else. Yeah, because some people would consider playing a food plot baiting. So, I mean, it's all just a matter of how you look at it and your opinion on it. So.
Yeah, it's perspective on where you, like you said, where you hunt and what everybody is doing around you. Some people, it's legal to run deer with dogs, and that's the way they hunt,
Yep.
But I mean, you can't really look down on anybody the way, unless they're out illegally poaching. You can't really look down on methods that are used. At least in my opinion, I'll never look down on illegal.
As long as it's legal and they're hunting and they're taking part and they're being a hunter and they're buying permits and all that money's going for conservation and habitat work, I don't have any problem with it. As long as it's deemed legal by the state, it's fine by me.
Yep, deemed legal by the state. They're out and having fun, enjoying the outdoors and using the meat to feed their family, then I don't think you can go wrong.
Yep, the more hunters we have, the better.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to touch with you guys, being millennials, I guess. Are you guys considered millennials?
Yeah, I think we're just barely in there. 22, so I think we just barely qualify.
What do you guys see with your peers? I mean, what do you see in the hunting community with your peers? Do you see a lot of guys your age still hunting? Is it something you see your friends growing up with, or is it something that you may see us losing as a tradition?
I don't know. I can kind of see us losing it a little bit with participation in people our age, because hunting public land, you run into a lot of people, and I don't think we've met anybody that's anywhere close to our age. So I think the biggest thing, is passing hunting on to people that are our age and getting them introduced to it at an earlier age, so that we have, a wide range of ages that are out there hunting. And I think there may be fewer. I don't think it's a drastic amount fewer, but I think the ones that are doing it that are our age are more passionate about it than they were in the past. So I think you kind of make up that gap as far as you have maybe fewer hunters that are our age, but they're more passionate about what they're doing. And the hunting industry has helped with that, make people more passionate about it and want to do it year round. And it's also kind of hurt because, like we said, everybody expects to shoot the biggest deer, and when they don't, they just decide it's not for them. So the hunting industry has kind of helped and hurt in that regard. But, I mean, we still have friends that do it, and so I don't think there's a drastic drop in the number of hunters, but it is something that the hunting industry needs to be, and the hunting community needs to be aware of, and I think they are. I think there's a lot of organizations that do a good job of recruiting hunters and women hunters and kid hunters and trying to get more people out there.
Yeah, and I think the passion aspect more people your age are probably more passionate than before is because I think there's a lot more information out there about it and a lot more tools that you can use and a lot more, so much learning tools. I mean, that's one thing when I got into it, I realized, you could sit for hours and hours and hours and hours and just gobble up all kinds of information, whereas people in the past were probably just drug along by their parents, taught what their father knew, and then that was it. Unless they went out and bought a book, that was it. We live in the day of the internet,
Yeah, there's so much you can sit, like you said. You can sit on the computer and look up anything you want and learn as much as you want and watch TV shows almost all day and always get your hunting fix and help build that passion for it. So the being able to go online, like you mentioned, and having that that media around you all the time has made people, I think, more passionate about the sport of hunting.
Yeah, and you guys go to Nebraska, and I know that's probably your sample in Nebraska is probably a little different than the rest of the country, because I would say that you guys probably have I wouldn't think you guys are as, like, I hate to use the word left wing as, like, a lot of the other universities out there. Like, do you guys see a stigmatism around hunting on your university? I mean, is it something that you've witnessed or had any conflicts with anybody about your hunting lifestyle?
Never had any conflicts with anybody, but I definitely thought there was a lot less hunters than I thought there was going to be within the fisheries and wildlife kind of major and group. Yeah, so we were involved with, it's called like CASNIR, so it's Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resource Department is the main department we were with our degrees and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people taking that degree, but like Brody said, not a lot of them, or not as many of them as I thought, were hunters, but they liked the wildlife aspect. So that was kind of a shock. But so I don't really think there was too much of they might not understand it, but they're not like mad at you for doing it type of a thing.
So you didn't feel you didn't ever felt where you had to defend your lifestyle of hunting at all?
Nope, I don't think so. They all understood it, and they liked wildlife, so they understood where we were coming from with that love of, chasing whitetails and turkeys and stuff like that. They may not have done it, but they understood where we were coming from. Yeah,
I mean, the bottom line is the majority of the animals that we have now are because of hunters, and this community is the main reason we have the wildlife that we have, and for people of all walks of life to be able to enjoy, and all that money to conserve it, a big portion of it comes from hunters like you, like me, and like everybody listening.
Yeah, hunters are the main backers for conservation in the United States, and it's because of us that most of the animals out there are still there and are continuing to thrive is because of hunters. So we've done a great job of stepping forward and saying, hey, look at what hunters are doing. You need to follow what we're doing. And we've created a great example for conservation, what conservation can be in the United States.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys, we are just done an hour. It flew by.
Yes, it did.
Do you guys have any final thoughts, any final plugs, final words? We'll start with Brody, and then Chance can give his.
I would just encourage everybody to just get out there, find somebody that hunts, or encourage someone else to hunt, and also just check out our website, check out our films, and follow us, and just follow along with us. Yeah, kind of exactly the same thing. If you enjoy hunting, make sure you continue to get out there, make sure you tell others about what you're doing, and take a kid hunting if you can at all, if that's at all possible for you. And if you don't have land, don't feel like that's something that's holding you back. There's a lot of public land out there, and it's a great resource for you, so make sure you use it. There's some good deer, some good turkeys, good waterfowl out on the public land. It's there for you to use. So if access is an issue for you, just try out the public lands. I think you'll enjoy it. We really have.
Whitetail Instinct is your guys' website, whitetailinstinct.com, and they can follow you on Twitter. It's at whitetail_NE, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And are you guys on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that?
We're on Instagram and Facebook as well, and those are just at Whitetail Instinct.
All right, perfect, guys. I do appreciate you coming on the show. I can't wait to see your turkey video, and we will definitely have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoyed being on. Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, that's it. That's the show. Thanks for listening. Follow me on Twitter at the IHUNT Podcast. If you already follow me on Twitter and you found the show via a link, please take the time to forward that tweet on, share it, like it, retweet it. I surely would appreciate it. And don't forget to rate, review us across all the platforms that you listen to the show. And if you need to get a hold of me and would like to reach out to the show, please, you can email the show at the IHUNT Podcast at what the hell? You can email us at the IHUNT Podcast at gmail.com. There, I think I said it right. Okay, I've talked enough. I'm done. Y'all have a good one. I will see you next week.